Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together we are Minting Coins, your trusted source for crypto news, interviews, and ICO reviews. Thank you for showing up. Tap that like button and prepare to learn about some Ethereum ENS domain names, because this is something that we have talked about before in the past, and this is something that we are bringing up again, not just due to the many requests from several of you loyal viewers out there, but there's just a lot that's happening in the world of Ethereum, the world of ENS, and we think Ethereum is pretty cool because Ethereum is an open blockchain. Ethereum is pretty much immutable, even though may not be, depending on your philosophy and your technical perspective, as immutable as Bitcoin. It's still an open blockchain technology that anyone can access, that anyone can jump into, that anyone can, check out the source code and develop upon to really create an open source, distributed world where everyone has the ability to participate with these open blockchain smart contracts. The interoperability that Ethereum is going to be providing, a lot of the data storages, the data layers, the application layers, and then later the user interface layers that are going to get built on top of this Ethereum protocol, this Ethereum technology, because Ethereum and Bitcoin, these are not just tokens, these are not just these crypto assets. These are also technologies, they are protocols. And what that means is that people are going to be able to take the Bitcoin, the Ether, and are going to be able to create networks and systems of relationships and communication between people and organizations and all sorts of internet connected devices, some with AI and some with not, where all of these users are going to be able to have this open relationship with each other without depending on a centralized third party, which is subject to corruption or mutability, for those answers and for that information to be reversed. So specifically, when we're looking at Ethereum, and today we're talking about ENS, there's this whole ecosystem that's built on Ethereum. There's this whole ecosystem of these really long cryptographic public addresses, these 40+ character, ones and numbers and letters that are very difficult to remember, similar to the early IP address days of the internet. Because when the internet first came out, there were not any domain names, and the domain name system was a layer that was added after the internet came out, and that was a very cumbersome process that later was able to scale to the system that it is today. So the fact that these Ethereum ENS names came out, this is something that we were very excited about with my experience in internet technology and the web, being involved in website design and search engine optimization since before Google was even a company. So I definitely see the application of these domain names, not just in terms of the usability for humans in the system, finding things, not just for the settings for someone to use these domain names instead of these long addresses that are subject to a lot more human error, but these are domain names that are decentrally distributed, decentrally controlled, and allow anyone to participate in the system without really requiring onto third parties. Now, granted, there's a lot of rules that you need to understand. There's a lot of processes that you need to know in order to navigate this Ethereum system and also the ENS system. And with that, there were some videos that we made last year that showed people how to get involved, how to start purchasing these names, because it is a cumbersome process and it's very different than traditionally buying a domain name because of all the steps involved in order to maintain a decentralized and as fair as possible sort of process. So this brings us to where we are today, and where we are today is that the Ethereum system is continuing to be developed. The lead developer and team of developers behind the ENS, the Ethereum name system, They are, continuing to roll out version 2. I think we're expecting to see that in about a year or so. And at that time, there's going to be a new registrar with slightly different rules. And that may be the time that they're going to open up registration of the ENS domain names to the domain names that are less than 7 characters. And then hopefully, that creates a huge amount of excitement with the land rush of domain names, these non-fungible domain names, right? With Ethereum and in the future with Bitcoin, right now with Monero, every Monero is the same as every other Monero. When Bitcoin has better privacy or perfect privacy in the future, hopefully one day, every Bitcoin will be the same as every other Bitcoin, and there's not any one Bitcoin that's tied to some person's transaction however many blocks ago. But with CryptoKitties, as an example, and with these Ethereum.eth, these ENS domain names, they are non-fungible, which means every single one is very unique from the other one, right? It's like saying buynow.com is just a different domain name than buynows, right? Or whatever the example is. Just every domain name is unique. Yeah, so these are non-fungible domain names. That's going to create a huge land rush. We think that's going to create a huge amount of excitement. When that huge amount of excitement happens, we're probably already going to be in the beginnings of a bull run anyways, beginning or middle. I guess that remains to be seen. The point is that there's a lot going on, and behind the scenes there's even more happening, and 99% of the people inside the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the blockchain space, I would say, are not paying attention to what's happening specifically inside ENS, just because there's so much to pay attention to. There's so much going on. And with that, we are going to go over the ENS system. We're going to be talking about what's happening currently with registrations and the system of registration, what's going on, how to go about getting involved, how to keep your finger on the pulse in terms of understanding some of the domain names that are currently being invested into. And then last but not least, we're going to be talking about this new top-level domain name registration, this .luxe domain name, this domain name that works in all your browsers right now, and it's somehow going to be merging with Ethereum. So people are going to be able to take their Ether wallets, their Ethereum smart contracts, their decentralized applications. They're going to be able to connect them to this traditional domain name, this .luxe domain name, and somehow these two worlds of traditional web technology and Ethereum blockchain technology are going to come together. And so what does that mean? We're going to dive into all of that. Thanks for sticking around. If you're here, then this must be something that you're at least semi-interested in. So tap that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and let's dive right in. So real quick, we are running this ENS domain names group on Facebook. So if you want to join this ENS domain names group on Facebook, this link will be in the show notes below. Feel free to jump on in, like this page. Feel free to like us over here at Minting Coins on Facebook. And then, every time there's sort of major news that's coming out, we have our finger on the pulse, and we're popping that information in here for people to take a peek at that and help, maybe they see this information in their feed. You can see this information in your feed if you don't have these tabs open on your browser, or if you're not paying attention on an everyday basis. So first of all, let's jump over to the main domain, the main official website, ens.domains, for the Ethereum name service, the ENS system. And so ENS, again, is offering these human readable names. Their example here, instead of having this really long Ethereum address like XS0x4C12, whatever, you could simply have mywallet.eth, and then you could have a subdomain specifically for you that's alice.mywallet.eth or business1.mywallet.eth or anything at your domain address.eth. And these .eth addresses, just as a recap, work identically to as if you were going to be giving somebody, person or a system, your long Ethereum address. And so it's much easier, just like with domain names, to use the human readable version as opposed to the cryptographic version. And so after you secure an .eth, you can take that .eth, you can create a subdomain, and you can connect one Ethereum address to the main address, and you can connect, if you wanted, a personal Ethereum address to a personalized name. So these are being dubbed as being secure, built on the Ethereum blockchain, truly distributed. And then if you want to get started with ENS, you can come here and get more information about registration, management, documentation, wallets that are supporting ENS like Cypher, IM token, Status, LETH, desktop wallets such as MetaMask, Mist, MyCrypto, My Ether wallet, different apps that are using this system such as Aragon, Etherscan, Bitfinex, and Swarm. Nick Johnson, the lead developer behind this project, really pushing this forward. Very, very smart guy involved with Ethereum from, since the beginning. And his whole amazing team of people who are really taking on this task, which is going to be a foundational layer to all of this moving forward that we, that we are just a part of, that we are just developing on, that we are learning about, that we are evangelizing, and there's multiple pieces that are going to have to come together for this entire ecosystem to really work and to really help everyone across the world in a big way. So I think this point isn't really known enough that even though ENS is distributed and decentralized, that there are some root key holders. So we have these 7 key holders, and these 7 key holders, if I believe 4 of them got together, then they could make changes to the ENS system in the case of some sort of catastrophic failure or some sort of hack or bug. They would be able to fix that. So that's both one of those blessings and curses. At some point, I believe the game plan is for all of these keys to get burnt, but that remains to be seen. So just be aware of that. If you want to get involved with ENS, if you want to get involved with the team, then they have this Gitter channel. And so if you go over there, you can sign in with your, you can either sign in or you can sign in with Twitter. And when you get over here, then you'll be able to participate in this group to really see what they're talking about, what they have going on, and really see everything that's happening as part of this conversation. So again, a part of this high-level overview, if you went over to mycrypto.com/ENS or myetherwallet.com/ENS and you type in, anything, supersale.eth, checking availability, supersale.eth is already owned. The highest bid was 0.53 Ether. What if we did super dash sale? That's available. Crypto dash exchange, already owned. Only 0.019. Crypto exchanges, already owned. Yeah, so the crypto exchanges keywords are pretty popular. And then just so you know, you can also go over to Etherscan. You can type in etherscan.io. You can type in any any .eth address that's available. Let's see. Let's do exchanges, exchanges.eth. And so we can see that someone registered that. Wow, a lot of resolver set. Someone registered that for only 0.01 ETH last year. So I think that exchange was the one that sold for big money. Oops. Let's go take a peek at that. And so, yeah, so exchange.eth, this is the one that got locked up a year and a half ago. And, they finalized this. They set the registrar. They set the subdomain owner. They may be using this as part of their testing and infrastructure. The high value bid, someone bid $3.8 million in the current value of Ether. That's 12,888.88 Ether. They bid on exchange.eth. The second highest bid was 6,666 Ether, about $2 million in today's money. And it was actually more when these bids were made, because when these bids were made, Ethereum was about $350, $450 at that time. So you can see a huge amount of money is locked up, right? $2 million is locked up behind this domain name. And if they wanted access to this money, they could release this domain name back into the wild and have they would get their money back, and then the rest of the world would then have the opportunity to then bid on this, and because a new auction could then and would then form. And so that takes us to what's happening with this ENS auction bot, which we love. This is ENS bot at Twitter. And what you can come do is come over here, check this out, and you can take a peek at all of the domain names, all of the Ethereum .eth ENS names that are being registered. So sometimes these are, they are make sense to you. Sometimes they don't make sense to you. Hey, take a peek at this, North Dakota.eth. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's a huge name, I think. And so what we can do, just to show you a real life example of this was just September 1st, 5:37 a.m. So that's today. I think today's Saturday. So this was just started. This auction was just started at this morning, this Saturday morning. And so if we take this address, if we go over to etherscan.io, paste in northdakota.eth, what we see is that it's open for bid. What we see down here, give me a second, I'm gonna pop this over to the bigger screen. So what is this saying? This is saying, just checking out some of these addresses, seeing if I recognize any of these guys. So this is saying that 450 days ago, this auction was started by this guy whose address ends in D360. And then we had 3 bids on it. We had one for 2.22. We had another one for 5.1. And we had the last one, which is for 0.04, just $11-12. This is the one. This is the same address as the guy that started it. So the guy that started it bid 0.04 Ether. The highest bid was 5.1. The second highest bid was 2.22. And so this guy that bid 5.1 Ether, this person won the domain name because they bid the highest bid. But the amount of money that was locked up in this domain name was only 2.22 Ether. So yeah, that's sort of a lot. $657 by today's standard. And what happened is that this person right here that had the domain name, this address right here, where they had this much locked up, 2.22, they wanted this 2.22 Ether more than they wanted this domain name. So they decided to get this money back, to get this 2.22 Ether sent back into their account. Let's go check out their account. They got it sent back to their account of which now has 149 Ether. So this person definitely has some Ethereum in the bank. But they released it back into the world, and now this auction is open for bidding. So this is really interesting. This might be a name that we actually bid on because it's a whole state. You could have, if you have North Dakota.eth, right? Yep. So then you could have all of these different states. So you could have like every state in North Dakota .northdakota.eth. You could have cities.northdakota.eth. You could have restaurants.northdakota.eth. You could have health.northdakota.eth. And then you could have every restaurant.northdakota.eth inside this system. Like inside this future possible website is how I'm imagining this. And that's how I'm thinking about it, because we could have unlimited subdomains, and every subdomain can go to a unique person or to a unique smart contract. And say it goes to a smart contract. Say you have tickets.northdakota.eth. That could be a smart contract. As an example, the way that I think about this, that smart contract can allow anybody to come in to sell tickets, and then they would get a subdomain, like baseball team.tickets.northdakota.eth, and then anyone would be able to use that system to create a subdomain underneath that subdomain, and then to offer a product or a service, either one that they're making money from or one that they can simply say that they have, and it just exists out there. But that's sort of the environment that we're imagining, the layers and layers and layers that are going to get built, not just with Ether, but with the Ethereum blockchain. And having this name service is a huge component of that because of the human readability aspect of that. So this gets us into the last topic of what we're going to talk about in this video for ENS and where we are today. And where that is with the LUXE exchange, the LUXE standard, as they're calling it, which is the first open top-level domain created to combine the Ethereum blockchain innovation and the security from Ethereum, and to combine that with the ease of use of today's world, today's existing web technology, and the .luxe top-level domain is going to be the top-level domain that's really offering this to people first. So let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's dive in to get you guys some details so you know how this works, because the .luxe, whether you want to participate or not, they're going to be having a period of time where you're going to be able, if you have any .eth domains, you're going to be able to claim those in the .luxe system. So first off, who thinks .luxe is a horrible domain extension? I realize that's the only one we have. I realize it's very, very difficult to, get in the queue of us getting a better one. But this is the one we have. This is the one we're stuck with. And if you wanted to connect the Ethereum blockchain with a traditional browser system, without a plugin, then this is going to be the system that exists right now. It may not be the Batman we need, but it's the Batman we have. So what makes the .luxe different? So this is going to be used for developers, for entrepreneurs, for crypto holders, and for blockchain encryption. So right now, Ethereum has this blockchain system for developers to create secure blockchain addresses to support their decentralized applications. Entrepreneurs already have the ENS system where they can purchase the decentralized names. Crypto holders are already, in the game holding crypto with their Ethereum wallets, and blockchain itself is using blockchain encryption. So the only thing that makes the .luxe different is that the LUXE names can resolve through the traditional web addresses and traditional email functionality. So right now, Ethereum and ENS does all of this. We don't need .luxe to do any of this. The only reason that .luxe is interesting or different is because it connects the Ethereum, everything Ethereum already does, with traditional web servers and traditional emails. And so this will be a lot easier for the average person to use Ethereum, if they don't even know that they're using Ethereum. This does create points of centralization to shut off these applications. But with that being said, the underlying infrastructure couldn't be shut down if it's using the .eth names in the background in addition to the .luxe. They could shut down LUXE. That'd make it really difficult for the average user to get there. But if it was built behind Ethereum and behind ENS, then anyone would still be able to interface with those applications through an Ethereum wallet or an Ethereum interface. As we discussed earlier with some of these other applications up here. So we have these different desktop wallets, we have these different mobile wallets, these different desktop wallets, and these different apps, which a lot of them are, different levels of decentralization and open source, which would allow you to interface with Ethereum applications in ENS, even if the .luxe shut you down as a centralized source. So we're talking about the current global market for blockchain-enabled domains. We know that with ENS, with the .eth, there have already been hundreds of thousands of registrations to date. There have been tens of millions of dollars in USD spent on these registrations also since May 2017. And with what .luxe is doing, on a side note, .luxe is owned by mines plus machines. And what they're doing is that they're going to be offering the .eth, the ENS holders, access to the .luxe names for a limited time, so that you will be able to claim your matching name during that part of the registration period. And so, I suppose, why would you want a .luxe address? Well, if you're building something that you want to sort of easily connect to the web, if you don't want to use MetaMask or some sort of interface plugin like that through a crypto browser, if you want it to resolve in any browser automatically, then you could use one of these .luxe names. But really, you can complete, I think, everything that you would want to do without a .luxe. It's just that this will likely make it easier for the average user to connect to blockchain with existing systems that they already know, right? Using any browser without having to add a plugin, to be able to just open a web page and not have to sign in to a MetaMask. There is opportunity available, although it's not a perfect system. When is it ever, a perfect system? I think one point that I didn't bring up that is interesting is that you're actually not even going to need to have a .ens or .eth name and ENS address to connect the Ethereum applications that you're creating with the .luxe top-level domain. Now, if you have a ENS name, you're going to be able to get also a .luxe, but you don't have to have an ENS name to connect your long cryptographic Ethereum, non-human readable address. You don't need an ENS to connect your Ethereum address to the .luxe. But if you have an ENS, then they're also going to allow you to claim your name before anybody else. So how do you get your new .luxe domain name? How do you secure this to match any of the ENS names that you already have? Well, first of all, I would probably say that just because you have an ENS doesn't mean you want to necessarily, claim your .luxe. I mean, if you want to keep your privacy, then you probably don't want to participate. Or if just the anonymity is important to you, then then you could just skip this section completely. But the way this is rolling out is that it's rolling out in a time period, and this link is going to be in the show notes below. We have join.luxe is a domain name. And so what happens first in these situations with these releasings of new top-level domains is that there's first the sunrise period. The sunrise period is where you're going to be able to claim your trademark for any of the trademark holders. So if you already own a trademark for Coca-Cola and you're the trademark officer for Coca-Cola, then you would this would be your period of time when you would be able to claim Coca-Cola.luxe. So before any domain name goes out, every trademark holder has the opportunity to protect their brand before they have to deal with squatters inside that system, because that's how they do that in that decentralized world of ICANN and top-level domain name accreditation. The second stage is going to be the registration period for the .eth address holders. So anyone that has an ENS name is going to be able to register their matching .luxe name, and that's going to happen starting October 9th. So we have to get through the entire month of September, we have to get through the first week of October, and then in the second week of October is when you will be able to start claiming your .eth name through here. Now, it's probably not going to be free. You're probably still going to have to pay a certain amount of money. Typically, the way that these auctions work is that if you wanted to get health.luxe, they're going to charge you a higher yearly fee for health, because it's a really strong, popular keyword, .luxe, versus my best health.luxe will have a normal yearly registration price. But if it's a premium keyword as defined, typically by the dictionary, then they typically charge a little bit higher. So when the ENS holders jump in and we claim our .eth names, I'm not sure at what price points that they're going to be hitting us with that billing. I'm not sure if it's going to be a standard lower price no matter what the name is, or if it's going to be the standard higher price if you have a keyword strong domain name. We're going to find out. So this .eth limited registration period ends October 25th. You got about 5 or 6 days before Halloween to finish that ETH registration. And then after that, October 30th, 5 days after the .eth period on October 30th, the day before Halloween, there's going to be the early access registration period. That's when people are going to be able to, sort of buy domain names at certain price points. And those price points are going to include additional fees that you're going to pay one time in order to get early access to that domain name. So, for example, if health.luxe, let's just say it's $1,000 a year at a normal yearly reoccurring registration rate, they might say if you want to purchase it 1 day early, then it's going to be $1,500. And if you want to purchase it 2 days early, then it's going to be $2,500. And if you want to purchase it 5 days early, then it's going to be, $10,000, And so the sooner that you want to buy it, the more it's going to be. But then it gives you an opportunity to purchase it before somebody else, if you could pay that higher price point. So that's what the early access period is. And then anyone else, this early access period, you'll be able to get any .luxe domain. Anyone around the world will be able to get one, and then anyone around the world would be able to connect that .luxe with any Ethereum project that they're working on. So anyone would be able to access that project through a normal internet browser. I guess the more and more I'm talking about this, the more that this is sounding interesting. Again, this isn't the domain name that we wanted, the top level domain that we wanted, but it's a top level domain that we have, and it probably will be providing a lot of innovation for users because of the creativity that's bursting out at the seams of people wanting to, bring these decentralized applications to the masses. Then, last but not least, on November 6th, we have the general availability where anyone will be able to purchase that domain name at the normal purchasing rates. They'll be able to purchase any domain name that wasn't already purchased in an early access program, any domain name that wasn't already purchased in the ETH limited registration period, and they'll be able to purchase any domain name that didn't have a trademark claim against it. So then if you want to find a participating registrar, then you'll be able to click on this link over here and pop in over there to get more information. You can also come to this website, finish reading through this whole website over here. When we go through the list of registrars, then we can see, oh wow, they added a lot to this list already. This was, last time I looked at this last week, this was probably a third as big. So it looks really good. It feels really good to see that so many more organizations are jumping on board, including Mark Monitor, Network Solutions. Not my favorite, but they are names that people know and trust. Then we have a lot of other ones, 101domain.com, ones I've used before in the past, Domainer. And so there's probably going to be even more jumping out. It'll be interesting to see if they get, Enum on here as well, and GoDaddy. All of that remains to be seen, but all of these folks are places where you should be able to purchase your .luxe either in the trademark stage or the .eth phase or the early registration phase through any of these guys in about 6 weeks. So there's a lot of information about what is ENS, what's going on, a recap of that world. We even did a little live demo on the fly of spotting some premium .eth names that are being re-released to the market. We were able to look at the history of those ENS names to see when they were originally purchased, how much they were purchased for, when they were released back into auction. And now we know that in 3 days, that auction is going to be over, and then then it's going to go into the reveal phase where people are going to reveal the bids, what they bid on those domain names, we're going to see who gets North Dakota.eth. That'll be really interesting. And then last but not least, we went over Minds Plus Machines and the new registration at join.luxe for the .luxe top level domain, and how those .luxe domains are going to allow Ethereum, those cryptographic keys, those wallet addresses, those decentralized applications to work over traditional browsers, HTTP protocols. So, it's going to work like normal email and normal web browsing experiences to whatever way that evolves in the future will be very, very interesting to see. So let me know, what do you think about all of this? Do you have any ENS domains? If you're this far in the video, my guess is yes. Are you going to be claiming your .luxe domains? Do you think this is important, or do you think that this is something that's just going to be a temporary blip on the evolution of this technology? And are they going to be what do you think? How do you think this is going to connect with the traditional web? Do you think the top level domain name is a great way? Do you think it needs to be more decentralized? Let's see what you say in the comments box below. Tap that like button if you haven't already tapped that like button. Subscribe, hit that bell icon notification. And any way that you can help, we appreciate everyone out there. We love learning about this. We love sharing this with you. There's just so much that we're doing on the back end in terms of the community, of the networking, of the business and development, that there's so much room for everyone to jump in and to play and to share in on the conversation. So until next time, in the next conversation, I'm glad that together we are minting coins.